as we're talking. So welcome to Social Media 2025, what you need to know for your business. So I take it that by raise of hands, anybody interested in getting more business for your business with social media? Hey, you're in the right place. Cool. All right, so let's get to it. So why does it matter? We all kind of have an idea of why it matters, but this is the actual stats behind it. So 76% of customers check out a business via their social media before actually visiting. So if you've got brick and mortar, that's you. So 76% of your prospective customers. 84% check out a business before deciding to do sales with them, either your products or your services. So that's a vast majority. Like if I got an 84 on my test in school, I would have been happy, you know? So this is the same thing. 84% makes us happy when we reach those people. So next up, the opportunity. So when we work on our social media, what we're looking to do is boost our visibility, our credibility, and our customer connection. So the challenge is that most businesses struggle with the consistency and the strategy. So just a little bit of a rabbit trail with that. With most of the clients that we come alongside and help, that's their biggest thing, because you can just take pictures, shoot videos, and put them out there, but if you don't have any strategy behind them or any consistency with how often and frequently you put it out, it's basically like a scattered shot in the dark. You're not going to hit your target. You're not going to get more business. And ultimately, that's what we want to do, is drive brand awareness and build business. So the big promise for today is by the end, we will know how to create a framework for strategy. So we were just talking about strategy. That's a key point. We're going to be able to identify content that works for your brand, because not all content will work for every single brand. So we have to be a little discriminating with that. Plan and schedule your posts, so that'll kind of give you a little bit of brass tacks, nuts and bolts on how that actually will work for you. Use simple analytics to track results, because what we don't track and don't measure, we don't know what's going on. And then we're going to actually implement the tools today, and you don't have to have big, I don't need to point at this, I've got a little laser pointer, look at that, tech expertise or big budgets, because let's be honest, nobody wants to do that and nobody wants to waste money. So cool. So framework. These are the 4 pillars of social media. Basically, we need to start with goals. So if we want to get somewhere, we need to define where we're going. Next, we actually have to get to the next point. Content. So we need to decide what resonates with our audience. So again, going back to what I said just a few seconds ago, we're not going to have the exact same content for every single audience. And the other thing to keep in mind is not everyone's audience is going to be on every platform. If you just kind of want to guess, the good guess is Facebook, because it's got the most active daily users by far of any social media platform. Does anybody know what social media platform number 2 with daily active users is? Instagram. I heard Instagram. I heard TikTok. LinkedIn, X, y'all are wrong, YouTube. Yes, YouTube. A lot of people don't think about YouTube. So YouTube is one of the most powerful social media engines, because it actually is built on the back of Google search algorithm, which means that your content that you put on YouTube will be what's called evergreen content. It will always be showing to the most high intent people searching for your videos. So with like TikTok and Instagram and Reels and Shorts and all that kind of stuff, those don't actually have the same shelf life that a YouTube short or actually long form videos even better will. So keep that in mind. Facebook and YouTube are usually your safe bets, but it's good to do a little bit of deep diving and figure out which is best for you. And consistency, we need to build a simple, sustainable posting system, because how many of you are busy? Few of us are busy? All right. So for those of us who are busy, we need to have something that we can grasp onto and that we can replicate on an ongoing fashion, something that's not going to be too burdensome for us. And again, measurement is very, very key. Track only the numbers that matter. You can get a lot of metrics, and we'll get into that later on. But there are different KPIs, key performance indicators, that are going to be important for your business, and there are ones that will not be important. So again, 4 pillars: goals, content, consistency, measurement. Any questions at this point? This is y'all's session. I'm just up here running my mouth. All right, cool. Stop me at any time if you've got questions. It does not hurt my feelings. All right, so pillar 1, setting up clear business-aligned goals.
Actually, I have a
Question, yes.
So when you said, like, you know how you can schedule your posts,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't have a personal page to schedule your posts.
You can,
Or
depending on the platform. You can, depending on the platform.
Okay.
Yes, you can schedule your personal posts.
I've been having trouble.
Okay, you can. We can offline. I can talk to you a little bit more in depth about that. You can. However, and not knowing your unique situation, I'll just say it for the room. Be wary of using personal accounts for business activities because in most instances, like 99 out of 100, you're going to be in violation of Facebook end user license agreement that none of us actually read but always accept. And they have the opportunity to shut you down and never let you back on Facebook. So be careful. We can talk because I want to make sure that maybe you are the one out of 100 because there are those people. So basically, some different examples of goals are to drive more leads, grow brand awareness, and increase customer loyalty. These are the big 3. Different people have different flavors of kind of how it's going to apply and work for your business and organization. But at the end of the day, this is what we do with our marketing. This is what we do with our social media. We want to drive leads at the top of funnel, grow brand awareness at top of funnel. When I'm talking about top of funnel, so if you kind of think about your marketing funnel like this, top of funnel means people are coming in from every which way, Google, Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube, they're coming in right here, and then we're funneling them down to the bottom where they actually become customers, and then they actually become loyal customers where they are brand ambassadors for us. So those are 3 big ones. You can create your own. I recommend that you create your own, and you do want to get a little bit more finite and detailed with it as well. Make your goals SMART. At this point, we've all been through school, so we've probably heard this acronym time and time again: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So just use those and when you're creating your goals to kind of get an idea of where you're going and how you're going to get there. So anybody want to share a goal that you have right now for your marketing with your social media? Does anyone have one? Yes, that guy.
For me, it's just creating more of a theme
Okay.
with my business. Meaning, if this month I'm talking about automation, or this month I'm talking about AI integration,
Mm-hmm.
kind of breaking down a storyline so I can kind of put my content schedule out 6 to 12 months. So
Nice.
I know moving forward that's
That's wise. So to piggyback on what he's talking about with the age of AI search, and we'll talk about this as we go through, but you'll hear the term GEO, generative engine optimization. That's basically optimizing for AI search versus traditional search. And one great way to do that is exactly what he's talking about. You want to plan your content 6 to 12 months out so you can actually do what's called clustering your content. You've got one pillar. So whatever, like AI automation might be your pillar, and then you've got content that's kind of surrounds it and is supporting to it. And what that allows you to do is backlink to that pillar content, and that backlink and that interlinking between the content builds credibility, and that's what we're seeing is the biggest leading reason why you show up on AI search, which is going to become more and more important at this point.
And I'll share a goal that's not one of those 3. For our business, what we are also trying to do is educate and inform. So like Dan was talking about with collaborating with other businesses, we're trying to do that with other organizations, businesses in the outdoor space of what's going on out there. So
Yep.
I think ultimately, I guess that builds brand awareness and loyalty, but
Yeah.
it's not just about us, it's what other people are doing.
Yeah, and that's a good point. So leveraging other contemporary audiences is always a good thing. So, it's effectively that's like social influencers, right? So definitely look for people who you can have synergy with, that you can also have collabs with to join your overlapping audiences. So 3 proven content types. This kind of gets to your point. Educational, so tips, facts, and how-tos. Of everything, this is what we find to be the most effective at reaching people and converting new business. The second one is engaging. So this is stories, polls, and behind the scenes. These are fun to sprinkle in there. But again, at the end of the day, most brands need to focus more on your business objectives than simply being fun. Because most of your customers, if they want fun, they're like me, I'm a car guy. I'm going to be scrolling through and seeing what the latest car is, what the latest 1,000 horsepower this or that is. You know, I'm not spending my fun time looking at marketing or products or services, and most consumers are not. So again, there are some brands that this is going to work for. Most of you in this room, just by statistics, it will not. Showcase your products, services, client results, and testimonials. So what happens with this one is this is the one that people like to lean heavily into because it's kind of like, hey, look at me. And it's easy because you know the most about your products and services. So you've got the readily available content of your client results and testimonials, and you know the most about your products and services, so you naturally kind of tend that way. The challenge is this is not what is the highest converting. Again, number one is the highest converting as far as bringing in new customers. This is the lowest because basically you're shining the spotlight back on yourself. And anytime you do that, the click-through rate, meaning how many people follow through and actually interact with your content and move forward as becoming customers, goes way, way down. So use all three of these, but be very Spartan with the showcase. And this is kind of explains a little bit further the 80-20 rule. 80% of your content should bring value, and 20% should be the, hey, look at me. Because storytelling and authenticity trumps perfect posts. So don't belabor having the best technology. Don't belabor having the best captions, the best images, the best videos. As long as the content is sound and good and valuable and helps people and helps them gather the information that they want, then you are going to be heading in the right direction. Any questions at this point? I talk fast. You guys listening fast? All right. Cool. So an example of high-performing content. I pick on us a lot of the time because it's just easy. I don't like to single people out, so I'll single us out. This is a post that we did in Hendersonville, North Carolina group. It's one of our highest performing posts. Anyone want to hazard a guess? Let's pick this apart together. What looks like is good about it? What's not good about it? What could we improve next time? What do you guys think? That guy.
Your format is really nice. Like my eyes can follow it really easy with like bolded.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have a general topic, your top 5 Google AI searches. I can just pick that out right away.
Mm-hmm.
And your links at the bottom. Just kind of like the general format of what you're going on.
Cool.
It starts with a question.
Yes. Yes. Both absolutely right. Yep.
Busy. It's very busy.
Very busy. Okay. Has an M dash in it. I used M dashes before AI did. No, I did.
Tell them what it is, because they don't all know.
What's that?
What's an M dash?
Okay, M dash is right here, and the reason everybody in the room is like, ooh, is because that's a telltale sign that was generated by AI. So I've used M dashes for years and years and years and years and years and years before I even knew how to spell AI. This, I leave it in because I get that reaction. People are like, oh, it's AI. It's not. We make our stuff custom. Yes?
I think it's harder to read white on a dark background.
Okay. Fair enough.
A lighter background with darker letters.
So
on the left,
Yep.
the consistently show up, and the AI searches are easier to read, even though it's probably about the same text size in some cases.
Okay,
Just
fair
easier
enough.
to read.
Fair enough. So this is based on the theme on your device. So if you prefer to read on a white with dark, it'll automatically be white and dark. This is on Facebook. So anybody, yep.
Something else I noticed is the little, if you want to call them emojis, those are all things that I see AI generate.
Is it though?
But I also see.
It's what my head.
Yes.
It's what my brain.
Agreed. Agreed.
I
Yes.
see that that's just what social media, a lot of social media uses emoji.
Right.
Like people communicate
Yes.
So that's just the modern time that we're in.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree, and also that our posts, I started out not doing emojis because I thought they were kind of silly. And M dash, by the way, is the correct grammar.
Yeah.
The minus sign is not, but I just put that out there. But I know that AI does generate that. But we get more engagement with emojis. We just
Yeah.
do. As silly as it is, it just.
So that's a good point, and I know you guys had points, and we'll get to it right. So emojis are good because they pull in the eye whenever there's text. So to your point, we use the Facebook. I don't know if you guys know, but you can actually set a heading on your posts, and you can also bold things. So that's why we do that. And the emojis is to tie people in. So you guys had stuff.
Do emojis replace pictures to get more looks at?
No, because if you think about feed, the big images and the big videos are what's going to draw your eyes in. This is for people that are going a layer deep. So this is the image that went with this caption. So we wanted to generate a lot of synergy between the need and then the deeper information. So this is for the people that are clicking one level deeper.
I was going to say what I like about it is to me it's colorful.
Mhm.
Everybody's talking about emojis, but they add color to it, so it's nice to look at. And because you kind of present it in these little chunks, it does draw me in. Once I read one sentence, I naturally want to go deeper into the other, to more sentences.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like how the complimentary consultation, I guess that's the link, it's just kind of snuck in. It's subtle.
Yep.
But it's there, and I do like that.
Thank you. Yeah, those are all great points. And so always have what's called a call to action, a CTA. If you're just putting things out there without an immediate next step for someone to take, again, you're just shooting in the dark, and their conversion rate is going to go way, way down because they're like, oh, do I call them? Do I go on their website? Do I email them? Yeah.
So you say this is an example of a high-performing content.
Mm-hmm.
Define what high-performing is. Like what was the clickback on this, and what was the result of this post?
I don't remember. So the reason that this is up here as an example is because this outperformed the closest post by 200%. And I wanted you guys to see that it doesn't have to be flashy images. It literally can just be this. I can get you that data. I don't have it off the top of my
I
head.
was wondering, like when we're talking about creating high-performing content, what's the expectation?
So that's a great question. So the expectation is completely as unique as everybody in the room. We might be getting hundreds of thousands of clicks on this. You might be getting hundreds of clicks. Hundreds of clicks could be great for you. Hundreds of thousands for us could be low performing. So it's based on the size of your audience and the size of the net you're casting. Yeah.
Also impacted by the nature of your business too,
Right.
whether or not your demographics are spending a lot of time on social media.
Yes. So we've got clients that offer senior care solutions, and their social media does not perform well because most seniors could care less about social media. And I agree with them. I'm not a fan of social media, but it does work for business. Any other questions before we move on? Okay. All right. Consistency with a simple system. So this is our third pillar. So having a basic monthly calendar is, by and large, all you kind of need to do. You can do a quick Google search, and you'll be able to find templates. And basically, you're just going to make sure that you focus on the quality of your content, not the quantity. It's kind of a bell curve. There's a tipping point, and again, it's industry and business specific and audience specific, but there's a tipping point where you start posting too much and you're actually going down the other side. So you want to hit that sweet spot, and honestly, for most businesses, it's a couple times a week. Don't make it completely laborious and hard, just a couple posts a week. And then batch creating your content. So this is just one little bullet point, but I do want to spend a few seconds on it because it's actually hugely powerful. When you create content and specifically video content, it takes quite a bit of time and energy. You have to find your topic, you have to research your topic, you have to look at your competitors, what are they putting out, what's working for them, what's not working for them. You actually have to shoot the content, and then you actually have to put it through post-production if it's a video or if it's an image that needs to be filtered, etc. And so there's a lot of time and energy to do good quality social media content. So the way you get around that is by batching, and what that means is you do it together. So what you can do is take 30 minutes and research 5 different topics. So then you've got your next 5 topics, you take another 30 minutes and you actually like get 5 outfits laid out and ready. And then you get the camera set up and you shoot those 5 videos, boom, 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 boom. And then you take another batch and you do all the post-production, video, video, video. That way you're not losing time and burning in between each activity. Does that kind of make sense? Is anybody doing that already? Anybody? Yep. Nice, nice. So that will help you be very, very efficient. There are free tools out there. Meta Business Suite is for Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Highly recommend if you're not using it. How many guys are using it? Nice, nice. So if you're not familiar with it and you're thinking about building a strategy around any of the Meta products I just listed, this is a free tool. Check it out. There's a lot of great video tutorials online. We actually have some on our YouTube channel as well that kind of walk you through how to do that. The next one is Google Calendar. It doesn't need to be some high fancy falutin thing. It literally can be a sub calendar on your Google Calendar that you're in every single day. Or if you're still from 1995 and use Outlook, I suppose you can do that. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so get your calendar. Canva, how many people are familiar with Canva? Yeah, okay, we all love Canva. So anyone that's not familiar with Canva, it is your social media creation best friend, graphic design, all that kind of stuff. And what you can do is actually build templates in it. So you can set up a brand kit, and that allows you to have consistent, like if you're doing a 4x5 post for Instagram, or if you're doing a whatever 9x16 reel or anything like that, you can have the exact same templates every single time. And that keeps you on brand with brand consistency so that graphically everything looks the same so that people see your content and they're like, oh yeah. So you'll notice on we have 2 purples. We have a highlight purple and then we have a base purple. And then you'll see that we've got this gradient border around all of our images. And then we've got this gradient that goes behind all of our backgrounds. And if you go on our social media, you go on our website, you go on any of our collaborative material, it is all exactly the same. You need to have a brand, you need to have colors, and you need to keep it all consistent and tight because that speaks professionalism to your prospective customers. And here is a practical example of a typical social media calendar. It literally could be a spreadsheet if you didn't want to get as fancy as Google or Outlook. And this kind of gives you an idea. Again, you don't have to post this frequently. And you can also do overlap where you have, say, this motivational quote with a branded graphic could also be recircled and used later in the week on Facebook. It doesn't have to be unique content. I will say that it is preferential to have platform-specific, unique content because things that are going to connect with someone who's interested in TikTok will not land the same way as someone that's interested in going through the feed on Facebook. So if you have the bandwidth and parsing out your content is hugely, hugely valuable. Questions? Yeah, no? Yes.
You were talking about when you're talking about the free tools and whatnot.
Yes.
The business suite does not include like editing, that sort of thing, right?
No, it's more for your scheduling
Right, the scheduling.
and then your back-end analytics and stuff.
This is a good place to utilize AI as a tool, is to like create your content and then ask it to make it more concise or to target a specific buyer persona. Like leaning into AI since it's here.
Yes. Agreed. AI coupled with Canva is good on creating the content on the front end, and then you're posting and scheduling via Meta Business Suite or a similar tool. If you want to have a very high-end scheduling tool, we like Buffer. We recommend that. It's not overly expensive and it's great. You can actually take it all the way from ideation to publication. It's very project workflow oriented. So yeah, cool. Pillar 4, we're getting there. You guys are doing great. Measuring what matters. Avoid vanity metrics like follows and subscribes. So let's talk about that for a second. There is value and importance in how many people are following your page, or how many people are subscribed to your YouTube channel, or how many people liked your post. However, those are called vanity metrics because they can be misleading. Just because someone likes a piece of content that you put out doesn't mean that they're going to be a high intent person to buy your product and service. So you have to kind of couple these with other kind of deep dive analytics that kind of focus more on what your business needs are, like website clicks. Some people think that websites are not as important as they used to now that we're kind of in this heavy social media age. That's actually not entirely true and not the case. What you want to do is, we're talking about the marketing funnels, you want to funnel people back to your website, because Facebook could change how they do things at the drop of a hat. TikTok could change how they do things at the drop of a hat. They control the platform, so they control how your customers interact with you ultimately. You can have some customization in there, but they can add customization or take it away, and that can impact you moving people through the funnel. So the quicker you can get people from your social media platform back to your website where you can control the traffic and you can completely control the narrative of what you're telling them, any kind of case studies that you're providing, any kind of client testimonials, all that should be done on the website. And in the age of AI, again, websites are what are being scrubbed. So to come up with these AI search results, so having your website dialed in is, I can't underscore how important that is. So driving website clicks is a great metric to keep up with. Inquiries and messages, that shows another higher level of intent, that they're actually following through and they want to engage with you guys. So that's a good one to track. And these ones you can actually track inside of Meta Business Suite. So if you're doing Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, you can do it in there. Conversions, signups, purchases, and donations. These are a little bit harder to track. You might need like an agency to come alongside you, or somebody that's well-versed in it to kind of set that up. The exception being like a Shopify or something like that. It's built in, it's baked in, it's easy. But you can use Google Analytics to track those. And basically using what the platform gives you is by and large all you need to do. You don't need to, again, have some fancy analytic build out in most cases. So here's an example of a piece of content that we actually launched over 800 days ago. So this gives you a little bit of an idea on what can happen with evergreen content on YouTube. So started out, not much traction. Around 540, the algorithm caught it, and then it jacked it up to 150. We got 45 subscribers on our channel based on that. Now, again, to your point about what's high performing, what's not high performing, this for us is fantastic because we're not multi-thousand plus subscriber account. We're in the hundreds, so 45 is a large percentage. So again, you have to kind of understand where you are, but putting this content out, so this content is actually an 18-second tutorial video, 18 seconds, that's it. And we got 45 subscribers. And again, subscribers is a good metric because they're actually taking another step to engage with you. And if you see this, 62% stayed to watch it, and the average watch time was 24 seconds. How does that work? Tell me how that works.
Watch it again.
Yeah. Exactly. So it was 18 seconds, and this is what triggers the algorithm, is when you can keep them and then keep them again. Yes. So you can see it showing up here in YouTube search. Shorts feed, no, not really. Suggested videos, not really. Browse features, no. So this is usually where we live and breathe, and we recommend our customers to live and breathe, is making sure that your content shows up in YouTube search. And the way to do that is to make sure that you take time to build out your description so that you've got the correct content in there, so that it's going to trigger the algorithm to show you up. Yeah.
Did you also include trending hashtags for that post?
We typically do. I can't remember specifically 800 days ago, but we usually do.
The reason I ask is because the number is such a high number. What attracted, other than just the content?
It was the content itself. And we typically use 2 hashtags on our YouTube content, and we don't necessarily go for trending content. Again, that's kind of industry specific. For more traditional industries like marketing and other local services and stuff like that, you want to use hashtags that speak to what you offer, what your services and products are, because that's what people are looking for. Yeah, that's a good point though. And you had something.
So was this a YouTube short? Was this-
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And I was also going to ask what the content was, because I'm thinking like, what was the content?
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
When I think YouTube, I'm thinking longer format videos, which we don't really have the time or the staff to produce, but.
Yeah, so great question. So this was actually how to update your Google Business Profile straight from Google Maps on your phone.
Okay.
Yep. No, you're fine. That's very small up there. So that's what the content was. And again, it was quick in and out. Like, I think there's like 4 or 5 steps to the entire process, done in 18 seconds. And it's definitely coming back and being rewarding. So all that to say, I recommend, even if it's a quick little, like if you're in landscaping or something, like, hey, here's how you plant perennials. Like, I don't know, here's how you prune a tree. Something that's not going to degrade value from what you bring back to them as a professional, but something that adds value to them if they want to DIY it themselves. And you could kind of do the same thing with products. Any other questions about like YouTube and stuff like that? Cool. All right, so we talked about the tools. Canva, canva.com, Meta Business Suite. You can get that. You can Google it. I'm not sure the exact straight address. I think it's like business.facebook.com, but don't hold me to it. Google Sheets and Google Docs. You can get it for free. I recommend doing Google Workspace, which is the paid business grade version of it. The nice thing, I know this is a little ancillary to social media, but the cool thing about Google Workspace is with the paid plan, you can do, like a lot of people do Zoom calls, right? So you can actually do Google Meet calls, which is the same thing, but it's got its AI note taker built in, and it'll email you, summarize the notes, give you like 4 or 5 bullet points at the end that tell you exactly what everyone on the meeting's next action points are. Hugely powerful. Like, I don't run meetings unless I'm running them through Google Meet now. So sidebar, but using Google Sheets and Google Docs to build your calendar, to generate your ideas for your content. Very, very, very good tool to use. Free AI tools for brainstorming. You can get ChatGPT and other variants for free. I would say that if you use ChatGPT, pony up and get the paid version. The reason being is if you're using the free version, your content is used to train the models. It ain't private. So if you use the paid version, you can actually say, I want my content to be private and siloed to me. It's not going to train the models. It only trains your models. So if privacy is a concern, spend $20 a month. You'll be thankful you did. So none of these require tech expertise or a big budget. The nice thing about all these is, again, there's a ton of YouTube content out there. Even on the respective platforms' websites, they've got a lot of videos. and walkthroughs on exactly how to use them. Any questions about tools? Do you guys have any pet tools that you like and anything that's working for you?
I have excuse me, a Facebook question.
Yes.
So when you're talking about using the Meta Suite, which we do, and we post like from our page to another page, and you know we get people to like it or comment on it, and then we can go in and to those folks and add them.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is it adds them to my personal page, not to the business page.
That'd be a configuration issue.
So how do we, because you have to have a personal page to have a business page.
Off the top of my head, I wouldn't be able to troubleshoot that without seeing it.
Okay.
It is a configuration issue though, because anytime you send invites, so what she's asking about is actually a best practice. If you guys aren't doing this, we recommend it. On Meta Business Suite, when you've got your business page put in there, once you have engagement with your content, it'll say, hey, so-and-so and so-and-so engaged with your content. Would you like to invite them to follow or like the page? And that's what she's talking about. And anytime you do that, sorry, I just covered up the microphone. That probably messed up your video. But anytime that you do that, you are actually inviting those people to take that next step and become part of your inner audience. So we recommend doing that. But yeah, that would be a configuration problem of some sort. Yeah, if you want to chat about it after, I'd be happy to. We could take a look at it. Cool. What else? Any tools you guys like? Anybody ever use Buffer that I mentioned earlier? Yeah. You guys like it?
Well, we were using Buffer when we had an X account, and then we just had very low engagement and weren't even like monitoring the account. So we did away with Buffer because it was, even for a nonprofit rate, it was, you know, it's still an expense, and we just use Meta Business Suite to schedule now because we just do Instagram and Facebook.
Nice.
But
Yep.
yes, I did. Yes, I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Cool. Cool, cool, cool.
Do impressions count for anything?
Yes. So impressions basically translate to your reach. So that means who's putting eyeballs on it, right? So basically where it matters is you want to set up your content in a way that the algorithm, whatever platform you're working on, is going to identify who your target audience is and then present that to those people. Where impressions can be slightly misleading is if the algorithm's like, this is great content, but I can't figure out who to show it to. It could just be, you know, showing it to everybody and just trying to learn itself and figure it out. So you need to trigger the algorithm so that by putting keywords in your content that are going to help it understand who it needs to show to. And then you need to look at impressions, but you also need to look at engagement, because that's one step further down your marketing funnel. Those are more engaged people. They're higher intent. They've took that extra step. So I wish I had a definitive answer, but impressions are important, just maybe not as important. And there's also organic reach. So we haven't talked about this, as a little nerdy and sidetracked, but I'll share it because you guys will probably hear the industry terms. So there's organic reach in social media. So that means you put a post and the algorithm grabs it and just shows it to, again, whoever it thinks should see it. Then there's what's called paid reach. Paid reach is running ads, sponsored content, boosting stuff. Don't ever boost anything, by the way. Stats show that putting the same piece of content inside an ad campaign versus boosting is like 300% better. So you're going to get much better results if you actually take 10 minutes and build out a campaign. It'll be worth it. So don't boost content. You're burning your money because the algorithm can't figure out who to show it to because it doesn't have enough information. So all that to say, organic is kind of what we're mainly talking about today, but paid, you can actually spend money and you can get your content shown to the right people at the right time. Cool. More thoughts, questions, concerns?
Well, so I have my business that I'm trying to build,
Yes.
but I have a personal brand that Facebook kind of almost created for me, right? So I'm a public figure, and I reach, impression-wise, my posts typically hit 50 to 60,000.
impressions. Likes and followers, not even close.
Right.
And then I got a notification from them about 3 or 4 weeks ago that said, oh, congratulations, your content is so great, we're going to show it to even more people. But that's not resulting in any more likes or follows. And so that's why I was curious about.
Right. There's a lot of variables that could be coming into play. I saw you shaking your head positively earlier when we were talking about CDAs, so I'm assuming you put a call to action on your posts. If not,
I always do.
okay. That's a big one. With people that have a disconnect from impressions to engagement, CTAs are usually a big one. But we can offline and you can show me some of your stuff and I'd be happy to give you my 2 cents.
I was just going to offer for anyone who does use Google Workspace that there is in there something called Gemini Pro, and you can utilize this to help identify who your target buyer is, and that can help you focus your messaging on social media to the people that need to see it.
Yep, that's a great point. And we haven't really talked about that too much. It was a little bit out of the scope of what I was going to chat about today, but it is important. So an industry term you might have heard of is client avatars. That's exactly what she's talking about. A client avatar is basically the demographics, the likes, the interests, everything about your prospective customers. Where do they reside in the real world? Where do they reside online? What are their habits? And you take all that information and you build that into like a mock-up persona, so a client avatar. And you say, okay, how do I reach, 38-year-old white guys in Western North Carolina? Like, what are their interests? What are they doing? Well, if it's Andrew, he's looking at cars and playing Fortnite. That's what I do. So a good way to reach me would be on car websites and any kind of ads around video games, right? So when you use AI, which is great, to help you build that persona and then target it in, it'll help you define what platforms you should be on. Again, a good point with the messaging. Different messaging is going to land differently with different people, So just think about who your audience is. Don't try to be all things to all people. Try to be the right thing to your people. Great points. Thank you. Yes.
Hashtags. So you talked about YouTube, you had mentioned 2 hashtags. What about like Facebook and Instagram and I've heard
Yep.
all kinds of.
Good question. Good question. So that's a very moving target. And it's dependent on, again, the platforms control what they do and how they do it. So typically what we recommend is doing 9 hashtags on like a Facebook or Instagram post. 3 need to be ones that you can see kind of what their reach are. Next to it, it'll say like reaches 1 million plus or 2 million plus or whatever. So 3 need to be large keywords for your hashtags, meaning 1 million plus. 3 need to be mid, which is 250 to 500,000. And then 3 need to be very niche specific, which is usually about 80,000 or less. And obviously there's gaps in those numbers. So you can kind of fudge the ranges a little bit, but you get 3 large, 3 medium, and 3 small. And that helps you hit the best of all worlds. However, at any given time, the Facebook, Meta, TikTok, those algorithms could be like, you know what? We don't want to do hashtags. And that was the trend for quite a while. They went away from hashtags because people were using it to get their content in front of people without actually providing value in the content. So Meta and YouTube and Google and all of them are actually, and TikTok are actually kind of reviewing the content. That's why captions are important in your videos, because that gives an extra layer, a textual layer of content that the algorithm can read and understand what you're talking about. And then they're able to show it to the right people. Yes.
And in those captions, do you suggest a question versus a statement?
I do like questions. I do like questions.
Get more engagement than
They do. I agree. So kind of the direction that we're talking about with that question is a hook. So if we're talking about creating video content, You got to catch them in literally the first 1.8 seconds, or they're scrolled on to the next thing. I will say there are ways to abuse that. You can be very loud, very flashy, a lot of bells and whistles going on. However, what happens is if you don't follow that up with quality content, they're going to scroll on to the next, and then the algorithm's actually going to de-rank you because they didn't watch through. So if you're going to be loud and flashy at the front end, you got to be loud and flashy all the way through, and that's got to be what lands with your target audience. So I like a question, and I like it coupled with educational content. It's like, hey, how do you blah, 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 and then lead into actually helping them answer that question.
So would you put in, like, say, slides and visual content of, like, you actually doing something?
So yes, and it depends a little bit on long form versus short form content. So short form content is quick hits. Long form content is for, again, it's even a layer deeper because people actually have to have enough interest to be able to watch, 5, 7, 10 minutes worth of content on a given subject. However, to your point, visual aids and having cuts in between your video is very important because just psychologically that keeps people engaged so that their mind's not wandering and like, oh, it's just boring watching this guy talk the whole time. So yeah, having visual elements, but not overdoing it and making sure it stays on brand. Again, having, like it was a trend for a while of having like those little GIFs, like a big explosion or something. Like, what does that have to do with lawn care? Like, so make sure it's on brand and it's not just silly. There are some brands that are silly, but again, I'd venture that almost all of us in the room are leaning toward more of a professional brand for our businesses. But yeah, great questions, good points. Yes.
With the knowledge that you have on Meta specifically, do Reels tend to still perform better than static posts?
Yes. So Reels are short form vertical content on Instagram and Facebook. So yes, the stats still show that short form video does outperform as far as organic reach, so getting to more people, and they also garner more engagement. So there's a big shift a few years ago when TikTok came on the scene. Everybody tried to hustle to catch up. Instagram and Facebook launched Reels, and then YouTube, bless their hearts, were like a year or two late, and they're like released shorts, and they're still not good. They haven't figured it out. But anyway, all that to say, vertical short form video, typically shot on a phone, so it's easy to create, does get you the greatest reach and the greatest engagement. So yeah.
Is there an ideal time?
To post, is there an ideal time to post?
Length of your reel.
So typically we recommend to keep it under 60 seconds because that way you can cross post it to YouTube Shorts. Again, YouTube Shorts aren't the greatest thing, so maybe you cater to that, maybe you don't. That's what we recommend to do because, again, getting extra exposure on YouTube. At some point, they'll get it figured out and the algorithm will work, and then it'll be evergreen content. So putting it out there. Did you have something real quick? And I saw you back there.
I had a question about
Yes.
Reels because I would say 2-3 years ago, we would do Reels, work for 2 different nonprofits, and they would explode a million views on a reel.
Yes.
Converts to nothing. We got maybe more followers, but and I still notice that our reels will outperform static images. But
Right.
I don't know how to get people to click through on any kind of reel. It almost always seems like it's a form of entertainment versus we're selling tickets for something.
Right.
We want people to buy the tickets. We want people to sign up for a membership. But I don't, is there some kind of trick I'm missing here with getting people to?
No, you've hit on a truth because people who are taking the time to stop and look at a static image are typically the people that will stop and take their time to move forward with the next step. Whereas people who are conditioned, they're in the I'm scrolling through my TikTok feed or my Reels feed, they're not in the mindset. They have to do a mental shift to get out of that, out of their feed mode, back into, okay, I'm going to interact and move forward on something that's of interest to me. So I would say lean into predominantly static posts, but still use Reels to, again, get that extra reach kick out of it. Yeah.
So when you said that when you're posting on Facebook and it's cross posting with your Instagram
Mhm.
stories or whatnot,
Mhm.
just a second, I'm not losing my train of thought. Does it have to be a business page? Because I mean, you wanted,
Mhm.
we're talking about our business.
What kind of business do you have? Do you mind me asking?
I have a nurse on staffing agency.
Okay. Yeah, you want it to be on a business page.
So I need a business page for TikTok too, because I have a business page for Facebook that
Yeah.
crosses over for my business page for Instagram.
Yeah.
But I don't have a business page
For
for YouTube.
TikTok? YouTube
No, I
or
don't have it
TikTok?
for TikTok or for YouTube.
Okay.
So just like you said with the shorts or whatever, keeping it under 60 seconds so it
Yeah.
can transfer over to the shorts.
Yeah.
Do I need a business page for, say, TikTok and for,
So for YouTube, you're fine. There's a verification process, but unless you've got buku bonkers amount of subscribers, it's not available to most of us. So you're fine on YouTube, but with TikTok, you can do a business account. And you can actually go to another step of free verification with them, and it'll actually show up the business name right under your username. So we do recommend that.
last thing.
Yeah.
Do you suggest getting the, you know, like with the MetaSuite, the verification, like the blue check? Like, you gotta pay for it, but
So
what is that?
it's 50-50. So about 50% of our clients, we recommend to try it and then watch your engagement. So baseline your engagement impressions without it, and then watch it, like maybe do it for 3 months, see if that actually improves. Because really that's the only thing. You're supposed to get better preferential placement in search. You're supposed to get more organic reach and like account security. Like we're all using 2FA and secure passwords anyway. Like we don't need that stuff from Meta, so it doesn't really have value. But I'd track it for 3 months, and if it's not bringing you more, I'd get rid of it.
Mentioning like my link in bio.
Yeah.
Does that tend to work?
It does. So with that, you have to, it's a little tricky. Are you talking about Instagram specifically?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little tricky because you've got to get them to do 2 steps. You've got to get them from the content to your bio page, and then from your bio page to actually click on the link. So anytime you add a step, your conversion goes way down. But again, that's a facet of the platform. There's no way we can really get around how Instagram does Instagram and the other platforms function. Yeah.
So one KPI I've been focusing on has been the amount of followers versus non-followers that are engaging with my content.
Okay.
And I know that drives kind of organic conversions. And so do you have a number at which you are like trying to hit a certain amount of followers to drive your non-follower content?
Like a percentage you're asking?
Yeah, because I know like it greatly depends obviously on the industry and what you're doing, but you know, I'm like, oh, if I hit 30%, then I can see that the algorithm pushes more to non-followers and vice versa. And then when that content's doing well, like that those kind of fluctuate. So
It does kind of fluctuate. And typically what we see is any kind of variance between 40 and 60%. So having around 50, give or take. Because anytime you have one skewed like followers super high or non-followers super high, you're missing out on, you know, that other demographic. So really what we've seen is keeping it around 50%, give or take a little bit, is where the algorithm says, okay, their people like it. People that aren't their people yet are liking it. So I need to get it out to more people.
Are you trying to ever like curate your content for your non-followers?
Yes. So that's more brand awareness. So we do brand awareness content. Then we do content that's mainly for our community to take them, again, a layer deeper. So it's just kind of nurturing people at every layer of the funnel. But yes, we do do brand awareness, specific content to get to non-followers. Yes.
Would you say that there's a best practice as far as duration of an ad campaign? And I'm saying maybe with like a moderate budget, like not nothing, but maybe $1,500.
Yeah.
So like what, $1,500 a month, what would be an effective use of time on Meta?
That's a very unique question to different use cases. So I'd be happy to chat with you after about that, because there's a big range to that answer. Fair enough? Okay. I'm gonna spin through these real quick so we can have some final questions at the end. Basically, again, we want it to be sustainable, something that's not gonna burden us and be hard to do. So have a clear goal, 3 to 5 content categories. That's the idea of having your pillar content and then building the auxiliary content around it. A way to measure results, build into the platform a toolkit that makes it easier as those tools we talked about. So the key takeaways are make sure that you have the framework, implement the framework, and use your tools. Call to action. Think about what your one action is for today. These are some potential things that you could do. You can also sign up for a free consultation with me. It's on that little handout. So now questions. Did we get all the questions done? Look at that, 1 minute to spare. Thank you, guys.